Second last line on Kuf Yud Zayin. So the Maimer was explaining the difference between bracha and tefillah and the advantage of each one. He said the advantage of bracha is that bracha is not possible, it's not a possibility, it's a certainty. Someone who's giving a bracha, it means he's passing down something, he's on a level that he's able to reach it, to access this root, this sheresh of this hashpah, and to pass it down. So there's no question that it's going to be passed down. And that's why someone who's giving a bracha has to be at the level that he's able to access this hashpah at its very root and pass it down. That's why it says by Avram that the Eibishter had to tell him, V'hayei bracha, the brachas are nesuneslach, they're given over to you. You have to be given the power of a bracha. Tefillah, on the other hand, he said is not a sure thing, you're asking, it's a request, we're beseeching Hashem. On the other hand, tefillah has an advantage that even if this hashpah is not even there at the root, even if in the whole ishtalslos there's no basis for what we're asking for, tefillah asks that there should become a new hashpah from higher than ishtalslos that wasn't even there in its origins yet. The zehu, so we're in the second last line, it says, the zehu sha'imrim bekama tefillas. This is what's meant by what we say in many tefillas, yehi ratzin. Many tefillas start off with the words yehi ratzin mufanecha. The words yehi ratzin is, there should be a ratzin. Tefillah has the power that there should come into being a new ratzin of Hashem, even if it was previously non-existent. The pirish yehi ratzin, there should be a ratzin who sheyiyah ratzin chadash, there should be a new ratzin in place of one that was absent beforehand. So tefillah bracha has the advantage that it's not possible, it's not a possibility, just it's a certainty. Bracha is passing down something. The one who's giving the bracha has the definite power to give that bracha. Tefillah doesn't have that certainty because you're asking something. You may get it, you may not. On the other hand, tefillah is asking for something that maybe has no origin, it has no root, and nevertheless through tefillah we can ask even someone who was decreed that he should be sick, even if it's decreed that there should be some hardship, tefillah could ask Hashem, give us a brand new plan from higher than ishtalshelus and change things.
I bless you that you should have good health. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What gives me the right to force Hashem to bless you? Who am I to ask Hashem? I want him blessed.
That's why the Maimer said that who is able to give a bracha? Yeah. Only someone who's empowered, who Hashem gave him the key to brachas. By Avraham Avinu it says in the pasuk, V'hayei bracha ha-brachas nesunes lach. Hashem said, Avraham, you have the power of brachas. And the Maimer says, now we understand why you need a power of brachas. Because to give a bracha, someone has to be standing at the place where he can reach this hashpah and pass it over. But Hashem gave that power to Yidden also, Vavarcha mevarchecha, in certain situations. Now, Vatam al zeh sham shachas er chadash hu al yidei tefillah dafka. What is in fact the special power, the special force of tefillah, of davening, that it's able to create a brand new ratzin even when one didn't exist previously? Is ki lemaisei yadecha tichsev. It says in the pasuk, we say to Hashem, L'maisei yadecha tichsev, you Hashem, you desire the handiwork of the actions of your handiwork. Hashem desires, he loves Aveda Sa'adam, the Aveda of mankind, the Aveda of created beings. And therefore tefillah, which is not just someone passing something down, tefillah is an Aveda. Tefillah is the work of a person, therefore that creates a special tainug, a special enjoyment by Hashem that results in being able to create a new ratzin and a new hashpah that wasn't even part of the original plan. V'lachein al yidei tefillah, therefore through tefillah, which has this advantage of l'maisei yadecha, of the work of Hashem's handiwork, through tefillah, which is aveda samata, it's the aveda of human beings, magim, there's the possibility of reaching la'orein seif shalamayla mishtalshlos, even to the level of elikus that's above the whole seder shtalshlos, and therefore to create a new hashpah that wasn't even part of the original plan. So bracha has an advantage over tefillah. That bracha is for sure, it's with a certainty. It's someone who's able to give a bracha only, but the one who can give a bracha is with certainty. But what can he give a bracha about? Something that's already there, something that's part of the plan, but it didn't come down yet. The one who's giving the bracha is passing that down. Bracha has a disadvantage that something that's not part of the plan, there can't be a bracha about it. He can't pass it if it's not there. Tefillah. What? Well, we'll say soon there could be a bracha. We could have sometimes both together. And tefillah, but you're only asking. You don't know if you're going to get it. But what you can ask for, there's no limit in what we can ask for. We can ask for anything, even something we weren't meant to get, and start a whole new plan. However you want to understand it. The Rebbe gave brachas. Many times the Rebbe gave explicit brachas, and the Rebbe gave brachas in a language that left no room for doubt. He didn't say wishful thinking. He said, this is going to happen. So many stories where the Rebbe said, sometimes the Rebbe didn't give brachas. Sometimes people asked, and the Rebbe said Hashem should help, and sometimes the Rebbe didn't. What? He davened. The Rebbe davened for so the Rebbe davened for everyone. But sometimes the Rebbe, people asked for brachas, and the Rebbe didn't give a bracha, and the Rebbe didn't answer. And a bracha sometimes, for whatever reason, you don't give. They say when there was a Lag Baimer, people came to Lag Baimer was a special time for getting brachas for children, and people found out about it. People from all kinds of backgrounds would come to the Rebbe's house Lag Baimer certain years. There was huge crowds, and they all came to ask for a bracha before the Rebbe left in the morning. And people who were there saw, like Belshemske, the Rebbe answered, didn't answer. There was all kinds of people, and there was some. It wasn't the same thing to everyone. Valpiza muvan. With this, we'll understand Goydel Ilui Habracha de Chasidecha. Now, going back, we said the meaning of the pasuk V'Chasidecha Yivarchucha said in Zohar that Chasidecha are Mamshech Habracha. They bring down a bracha into Koi, into Malchus. And the beginning of the pasuk was Yeducha Hashem Kol Masecha, that all of your beings, Hashem Yeducha, they acknowledge you. And he said in the beginning that Haidah is in that place where there's no possibility of understanding. Haidah is that place where there's no possibility to have an intellect because it's higher than Ishtalshalos. So Chasidecha Yivarchucha, what is the level where the Yivarchucha is being drawn down from? From Yeducha, from the level that's higher than Ishtalshalos. Higher than Ishtalshalos, meaning it doesn't exist even in the highest root. It's the level that usually you need tefillah to access. We said tefillah could reach higher than ishtalshalos and start a whole new system. And the chasidecha or yivarchucha, they're bringing down a bracha, amshacha in a way of bracha that has the advantages of a bracha from yiducha, from higher than ishtalshalos, so it has both advantages. Al-Piza, with this explanation in the difference between bracha and tefillah, now we'll understand in the meaning of this pasuk. Goydel ilui ha-bracha de chasidecha, the great mile of the bracha from chasidecha, which is from the level of yeducha, shaham shachasa, the place from where it's being drawn down. He may hamakim, it's from that place shabai hi haidah, where usually there's only a possibility of haidah, of acknowledgement, not understanding, not praise, higher than ishtalshalos. The bebracha zu shtei hamayles comes out. This bracha puts together the two different advantages. That on the one hand, shaham shacha he may erein safe, shalamayla mishtalshalos. The hamshacha, the bracha is coming from higher than ishtalshalos. Hainu shal yidei bracha zu nasa ratzin chadash. This bracha is not limited to any of the plans of ishtalshalos. It's not limited to anything that was predestined, that's pre-designed, because it's higher than ishtalshalos, so it can be a completely new ratzin. Hamayla de tefillah, that's the advantage usually of tefillah. And nevertheless, the pasuk says, "V'chasidecha yivarechucha." Va'afal pikein, he loit tefillah bakasha. The way the chasidecha, the way the chassidim are drawing down this hamshacha is not that they're asking, not that they're begging for a hamshacha from higher than ishtalshlos. Ela bracha b'derech tziva, it's a bracha, it's in a way of certainty. It's with a command, with the advantage of a bracha. So chasidecha yivarchucha, what we explained from what it says in Zohar and in Chassidus about this pasuk, we're understanding that chasidecha yivarchucha, this hamshacha is hamshacha that has both advantages. On the one hand, it's from yeducha, it's from higher than ishtalshlo, something new, brand new, and at the same time, it's hamshacha that they force, that it's in a way of a bracha that has no question whether or not it's going to come. Now the Rebbe is going to say there's another example of a hamshacha that puts together both advantages of bracha and tefillah, and that is the bracha of a tzaddik. A bracha of a tzaddik puts together both. It says in the Yerushalmi, ala pasuk vatigzar emer vayakim lach, says the Yerushalmi, afilu hu HaKadosh Baruch Hu emer hachim. Even if Hashem says one way, Va'at Omar Hachin, and you the tzaddik say otherwise, Didach Kaima, your words will be fulfilled. Didi Loi Kaima, my words, say Hashem, won't be fulfilled. So it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Geizer v'tzadik mevatel. Even if the Eibishter makes a gzeira, the gzeira of the tzaddik will annul that and create a new gzeira, and the tzaddik's words are the ones that are going to come to be. By definition, when we say Hashem is annulling His gzeira, that means there was already a pre-existing gzeira from Hashem otherwise. That means the plan, the design, the way it was meant to be originally was not in according to what the tzaddik said, was different than what the tzaddik said. So what the tzaddik is doing with his gzeira is changing the design, making a whole new plan, is bringing mamshech aratzin chadash, a new plan, a new design. Hu ki atzadik mamshech ratzin chadash, hamayla de tefillah, this is the advantage of tefillah. Va'ofen bittul hagzeira, nevertheless, in this same Yerushalmi, we see that the manner of the bittul hagzeira of the tzaddik, hulei al yidei bakasha, is not that the tzaddik is asking for it, he's not requesting it, it's not a request. Elai de gzeira sa tzaddik, like the pasuk it says of the tzaddik is commanding it, he's decreeing it. Mailas habracha shubederech tzivri, that's the advantage of a bracha. So we see from the Yerushalmi that a bracha of a tzaddik also has the two advantages. It's not limited by what was originally planned and originally destined, and at the same time, but it's not limited to request, it's vatigzer, it's a gzeira. There's a famous story with the Baal Shem Tov, that the Baal Shem Tov, all the stories of the Baal Shem Tov have a lot of different nuschayis, but the story is that there was a lady who came to the Baal Shem Tov, and she didn't have children, and she did a favor, her husband did a favor to the Baal Shem Tov, at least according to one nusach. But the Baal Shem Tov said, I promise you, you'll have a child. Next year, you'll have a child. Right away, there became a big tumul l'mayla. This woman wasn't supposed to have children. Not only that, she didn't even have the gashmistic possibility of having children. The Baal Shem Tov is breaking through all the laws of nature. So they said, because of that, the Baal Shem Tov lost his Elam Haba. Baal Shem Tov obviously hears everything that's going on l'mayla. So first he was upset. Then he thought to himself, Baruch Hashem, till now I always had a concern, maybe if I'm serving Hashem, I have deep down the anticipation, the motivation that I want Elam Haba. It's not purely only for the sake of Hashem. Now there's no Elam Haba in store anyways. Now I could really serve Hashem purely, with no other ulterior motives. So they came that, so they said, okay, because of that you got back your Elam Haba, like Afzalachis. But they said, from now on be more careful with your bracha. But still, there's many other stories, like we'll see soon, with the Baal Shem Tov. So usually we hear there's many stories with the Rebbe, where the Rebbe said, not brachas, but aftachas. But usually we don't know exactly what's going on l'mayla, so we don't know if that haftacha is just bringing down, getting over certain obstacles, because we don't know what was the plan. Here, the Baal Shem Tov, we know in the story that was against the plan, and the Baal Shem Tov didn't daven for it. He promised it, and since he promised it, it had to happen. Umamshich b'hamaimer. The Maimer continues. Shahamshacha shal yidei habracha dechasidecha hi al derech hamshacha shal yidei teira. Another place where in Chassidus this is discussed, the putting together of these two differing advantages, spoken about a lot in the Lag Ba'omer Mamarim, is we find this when tzaddikim accomplish something through the power of Teira. The Yidei HaTeira, Teira has the ability also to bring about changes and bring about hashpais in the world. Al Yidei HaTeira na'aseh shinui v'chidush ba'elam. Through Teira, Teira causes a change. The power of Teira can cause a chiddush, something new in the world that's not following the original plan in the world. Like we'll see in a minute an example. Through Teira there can be a change that wasn't part of the plan in the sheirish, in the highest root for the world. And nevertheless, when Teira accomplishes that change happens. Teira is different than davening. Davening, by definition, is we stand and we ask Hashem for one thing or another. We're constantly begging Hashem. But those stories that we have of tzaddikim who accomplished through Teira, they weren't asking. The power of the Teira automatically created the change. Ella b'derech memela, that's automatically without asking, but by force, so to speak. Ochamai, the first example he brings, that's brought always in Chassidus, Kamei Rab Shimon ben Yochai, that the Zohar says a story that once there was a lack of rain, and Rab Shimon ben Yochai said a maimer on Shir HaMaile, Sinei Mateva Manoim, Sheves Achem Gam Yochad, and it started to rain. So he brought about a change in the world through Teira. Not through asking Hashem to do it, the Teira forced it, so to speak, to happen. Kamei Rab Shimon bar Yochai, that we have the story, Shehimshech Yiridas Keshamim, that he brought about rain, al Yidei Amiras Teira, through saying Teira, not through davening and begging Hashem, through saying Teira. The Bechdei Shetia Yiridas Keshamim, in order that it should rain, La'achrei Shenigzar Shetia Atziras Keshamim. After Milmaila, there was a decree that it shouldn't rain like it was in that instance. Hual Yidei Hamshachas Ratzin Chadash, that requires a new Ratzin, something new that's higher than Ishtalshus, that wasn't part of the original plan in Ishtalshus. Va'afa Pikei, nevertheless, Al Yidei Amiras Teira, through Rab Shimon bar Yochai saying Teira, he didn't have to ask and beg Hashem to make a new plan and give a Ratzin Chadash. He said Teira, and the Teira forced the results from higher than Ishtalshalus. Haisam Shacha b'derech Mimela b'li Aveda v'Yagia. There didn't have to be the work, there didn't have to be usually the criteria for tefillah, which is Aveda Samata, which is the work of people in the world. The Teira itself brought it about, just saying the Teira. So Teira also has both advantages. It can bring a change, it can bring Amshacha from higher than Ishtalshalus, and it forces it to happen, it doesn't ask for it to happen. That's what it says in this Maimer. V'yeshleimar, says the Rabbi, the Mashakos of Baha Maimer. That the Maimer says, Shamshacha shayidei habracha, the Maimer of the Rabbi Rashab. Shamshacha shayidei habracha de chasidecha. That Amshacha that comes through the bracha of chasidecha. That we say Yeducha, v'chasidecha yivarechucha. The chasidecha bring a bracha from the level of Yeducha that's higher than Ishtalshus. So therefore you're having both advantages together. So the Rebbe Rashab equates this to what Tzaddikim did through Teira, that he makes this comparison of having both advantages together to Teira. The Rebbe Rashab is looking not just to bring an example of having together both advantages. Of Amshacha that puts together both advantages. Ela gam lefi shal yidei dugma zumi teisiv bir ba'ilui de chasidecha yivarachucha, which will be explained later in the Maimon. Says this example adds a deeper understanding in this great achievement of chasidecha. For ha'inyan hu, to understand this, we have to first explain more about what we find various other examples of an accomplishment through Torah besides this example that the Rebbe Rasha brought of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. The Mevur b'Likutei Torah, it says in Likutei Torah, begin hameifsim ha'atzumim she'asu kama tanaim v'ameiraim, that we find stories in Gemara that Tanaim and Ameiraim accomplished big changes in nature, supernatural changes in Meifsim. K'mei Pinchas ben Yair, that it says in the Gemara, Pinchas ben Yair was traveling to go do Pidyon Shvuyim, and he was blocked by a river, by the river Ginai, and he said, Ginai Nahara, like we'll soon see the details, he said, split open for me, I have to cross. And he forced it to split. So it's a story in Gemara how Pinchas ben Yair made a mephis. Says in Likutei Torah, how were they able to do that? How did he accomplish that? Ki al yidei esek haTorah shalahem, through the power of his Torah, through his learning Torah, himshichu, they were able, these Tanaim and Amiram, we learn about their meifsim in Chazal, they were able to draw down through their learning Torah, gilui eirein seif shalamayla mishtalshus, a likus that's higher than ishtalshus. Because by virtue of Ishtalshalos, a river is meant to be a river. It's destined to be a river. In whatever level of Ishtalshalos it is, it's a river. To change it from its nature, that's brought from Eirin Seif Shalamayla Ishtalshalos, that's not limited to anything. What enabled him to do that? The Kayach of his Eisek HaTorah. Val Pizah, so from this comes out from what it says in Likutei Torah, that seemingly Rab Shimon Bar Yochai wasn't unique in that. That this putting together the two different advantages seems to be by all of the stories of the Tanam V'Amiram. Gam b'hamshacha sha'idei esek haTorah, the kol Tanam V'Amiram, seemingly the achievement of the Torah of all of the Tanam and Amiram that we learn about, ha'yushnei inyanim mailas anal, they all contained both of these advantages. That on the one hand, sha'idei esek haTorah shalahem nasa, Shinui v'chidish ba'elam, that their learning Torah brought about a complete new and change in the world. Chidish amiti, shaloi haya gam b'sheirish u'makar elam, something that wasn't there even higher than Ishtalshalos. Even in the highest level of Ishtalshalos, it had to come from higher than the root of the world, from higher than Ishtalshalos. Uchmei chalukas hanar, shehi shinui v'chidish gam legabe sharshay u'makeri d'hanar, like splitting the sea, it wasn't that the sea somewhere in its root in a higher level and higher elements it had the capacity to split. This went against what the river was able to do. He had to draw down from something that was higher than the highest point in Ishtalshus. And the Rebbe brings in Ha'ara 23, says the Gemara says over there, that the river, when Rab Pinchas ben Yair said to the river, split for me, I'm going to do Pidyon Shvuyim, you're blocking me, get out of my way. So the river said, what do you mean? You're going to do a mitzvah, right? You're going to do Pidyon Shvuyim. I'm also doing a mitzvah. I'm being a river. I was created to be a river. Ani heilech lasis ritzein keini. It says, I'm doing the directive of my creator just like you are. Why should I split for you? So it's a reasonable argument, seemingly. So the Gemara says, or Pinchas ben Yair said, if you don't split, then I'm going to decree that you should be as if you had never existed. No more river. This didn't seem like a response to what he was said, and then the river split. And in other places the Rebbe explains exactly the exchange, but here, so says there, but we see that the Sar, the Malach of the river said, I'm doing what I was created to do. Why are you telling me to split? That means that every level of the river, at the highest sheirish of the river, the highest point in Ishtalshalos, where this river originated from, it was meant and destined and planned to be a river, nothing else. To make it split, to make it dry up for a Pinchas ben Yair is a complete change. It's accessing higher than the Sheirish Umakar of the river, higher than the Shtalshlis. And at the same time, so that's the Maila, the advantage of Tefillah. And at the same time, it was fully B'derech Gzeira. He didn't ask, he didn't negotiate, he just forced it. It was through Al Yidei HaTzivuy, V'Hashashini Nasa Al Yidei HaTzivuy, Lo Yidei Bakasha Yidei HaTzivuy, Sha'Pinchas Ben Yair, HaMaila De Bracha She B'derech Tzivuy. It was the advantage of commanding, instructing, not asking for it. So seemingly, all of these meifsim put together the two milas, and yet the maimer of the Rebbe Rashab brings specifically Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and later he's going to explain that there's a specific uniqueness in what Reb Shimon Bar Yochai did, that's going to explain about Chasidecha Yivarchu.